Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com, the ChrisVossShow.com. Hey, we're coming here with another great podcast. We certainly appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, you guys are the most awesome audience. We certainly appreciate your loyalty, I should say. Anyway, be sure to refer to your friends, neighbors, relatives, dogs, cats, pool boys, mistresses. Get everybody in on the action. Tell them to go to Google Play, go to iTunes, and also go to youtube.com/Chris Voss, where you can see all the great podcasts and the new Siberian Husky puppy, and also great reviews, of course, from all the different companies we work with. So there's that. And if you get a chance, do review the podcast, because we certainly appreciate that as well. I have, as always, the best guests in the world, and today it is Paul Higgins. Paul is the founder and community owner of Build, Live, Give. He has a hugely successful podcast and a successful angel investor and mentor to small business owners across the globe. Paul was once the director of Coca-Cola until he escaped to run his own business, and he believes you can have your own cake and eat it too. Welcome to the show, Paul. How are you?
Yeah, great, Chris. Great to be on.
Awesome sauce. And welcome from all the way from Australia.
Yeah, we're a long way. As you said, it's about a 24-hour flight from where you are.
Yep.
It's a great part of the world.
Yep. Now, if you guys could just get those toilets to flow the other way, then the right way, the normal way. And then, of course, you guys have the opposite of whatever. You know what I should do? I should give me a second home in Australia so that I can summer or winter in Australia and then summer in America. That's probably a good thing to do.
Yeah. Well, it's getting a little cold here. It's been raining this morning, but yeah, our summers are stinking hot, and our winters are pretty cool, but nowhere near as cold as yours. We might get down to zero, but not much colder than that. Not a lot of snow where we are.
Now, when you say zero, that's 0 Celsius, right?
Correct, yeah.
What is that in Fahrenheit?
I've got no idea. It's about 20, something like that.
So, Paul, before we start, give us your plugs so people can check you out on this show and all that good stuff.
Yeah, look, people can find out more about us at buildlivegive.com, and also on my LinkedIn, which is Paul Higgins 555. So you can find out more how we can help people there.
Cool. So what is Build, Live, Give? Give us a brief overview of what that is.
Yeah, look, Build, Live, Give is a community for people that used to work in corporate. So very similar to myself. I spent 18 years at Coca-Cola, had a great career, but thought there was more to life than selling sugary water. So in 2011, I left, and for a lot of my members, they leave for various reasons. For me, it was around my health, but they want to just build a great business. They want to live a great life, and they want to give back. And we're a fantastic community that support each other in doing that. So that's us in a nutshell.
That's freaking awesome, man. That is awesome. So, so you've been a successful angel investor. You've been a mentor. And I think there's some different things you want to talk about in some of the things you've learned in your life.
Yeah, sure. Well, look, I think the number one thing is just get some help. When I left corporate, I'd always been very successful, and I thought that would just play out in my small business. This would be easy. Most people said, it'll take a couple of years. I thought, no, it'll take 6 months. I promised my wife all this money in 6 months and everything would be perfect. And I realized it was really hard. Like, it was damn hard, a lot harder than I ever expected. And for me, I think people should just, get some help, like get some people that have already gone down that path before you, ahead of where you're at, and just get some help. I think that's probably the biggest thing I've learned through my journey.
It's not as easy as most people think it is it?
No, look, I used to sit in board meetings trying to work out why people won't continue to pump sugar in their body, i.e. Coca-Cola, and thought that was really difficult, And I think running your own business is hard. You've got to do all the sales and marketing, and these days there's so many people trying to take your money from a marketing point of view. It's really hard to work out what works best. And then you've got the sales, and not everyone wants to buy when you want to sell, so that creates a bit of a cash issue, and then you've got to deliver what you've promised. So, you're constantly juggling, and a lot of times you're trying to do it by yourself. Can't afford to have a team. So we've got a 5-step methodology that sort of helps people sort their way through that, because what we don't want is people that have left corporate, they've done all the hard work, they've made the brave step, and then all of a sudden they're thinking, maybe I should get a part-time job, or maybe I should go back to corporate, and that's the last thing we want them to do. I know that's the last thing they want to do, so we really want to help people avoid that.
It's definitely hard. I've counseled people before, and there's been some people that are just really can't think out of the box so much and have a rudimentary book mentality that I've told them. I said, I really think you need to stay just teaching school and math or doing the basics of, you're so used to not being able to think out of the box that if you start your own business, it's going to be hard. It is definitely hard. It's probably one of the most hardest things you'll ever do, but I think it will also be the most rewarding thing that you do. And even if you fail in business, you learn so much about yourself. You learn so much about your self-actualization. And if you fail, you probably didn't learn enough about your self-actualization. But you'll learn a lot about yourself, and it's difficult. You can work for a corporation and screw around all week and, go talk to people by the water cooler and watch cat videos on YouTube half the week, and probably still get your paycheck by the end of the week, and everyone's happy. But when you're a entrepreneur, it's 24/7. You sleep, eat, drink your business, weekends, vacations. Good luck with that. And there's no guaranteed paycheck. You're always scrambling, hoping that there's a paycheck coming for you someday. And and it's really hard. I've gone from points where I've worked for myself, I've worked for other people, I've worked with investors to where I'm the key CEO building it, but I don't have to lose so much sleep overnight because it's not my money, which certainly was a lot of fun. You live, eat, drink business, and there's no punch out time at 5 o'clock where you go home and go, I don't have to think about this anymore till tomorrow morning at 8.
Yeah, and look, I think you did right. And I think that's the case for a lot of people. But what we're saying is that there actually is a way. There's a proven path. I probably took 5 years until I really found success. And success for me was running, a high-level mastermind. I had a great membership. I've got another tech business on the side, and I spent 2 months in Europe with my family, which was brilliant. And, I worked 3 or 4 hours a day. I had a team in the Philippines, and life was really great, and it continues to be fantastic. But it took me 5 years to get there, and a lot of angst and a lot of, missed promises to my wife and kids. And, it can be brilliant. But what I'm saying is that, you do need to find a group that supports you, and do need to find a methodology to shorten that time. So if you can do it in 12 months, that's much better than taking 5 years. But, there is a great way. And when you get it right, like a lot of my members are now traveling around the world, their business can run with minimum input, but, it does take time to get there.
Yeah, it does. Sometimes it can take years. Very, very rarely do I see anybody becoming hugely successful overnight. Most businesses fail in the first 2 years. So the first 2 years, they're struggling to even become profitable, viable, or sustainable. And it takes a lot more longer than you have. And usually you never have enough money. Sometimes I've met some people who had a lot of money when they went into their business, but they had no business sense, and they spent a ton of money. I've built my businesses with a relatively small amount of capital and a lot of sweat equity, blood, sweat, and tears. In fact, I think body parts are missing for how much work I put into my business. But it's definitely tough. So I think you had some suggestive ideas and stuff, a list of different tips that people could use for going into business and being successful. Yeah,
thanks, Chris. And we believe 5 key things. We call them rapid growth drivers. And the first one is personal productivity. Your time is the most critical thing. Like you said, blood, sweat, and tears from the owner is what really makes the success. And working on the right things is so important, but you've got to get time to work on the right things. And under personal productivity, we think there's two key things. One is we think every small business owner should have a virtual assistant. I think they're just essential in today's fast-paced world. And then the other thing is having the right technology to run, whether it's a virtual assistant or other remote team. So that's the first one. The second one is around ideal client. I think until you clearly, someone can land on your website and you clearly say who you stand for and who you serve, I think you find a lot of, you chase a lot of roads that lead to dead ends. So I think it's really important to understand that. And that's probably the thing that most people don't get right. And once you get that right, people can refer you, because referral is where you'll get most of your business early on. But if you're not clear, then other people can't help you. The third thing is the right business model. And that's making sure that you said before around cash flow, etc., that you've got the right pricing in place. You've got it based around return on investment, not on a cost plus model. And you've also got it recurring, so that it's not one-off project work, that it's actually recurring. The fourth is sales focus. And, you talked about it, but you've just got to sell to your first $1 million in turnover. There's no way around it. And the owner has to sell. And most people avoid it. They don't like the word selling. And the way that I describe selling is just moving someone from where they currently are to where they want to be as quick as possible. So, if you believe in your product and you get to add value, you need to get out there and sell. And then the last one is the team, which is a high-performing team, which is once you've got all this momentum going, you got to make sure that you don't burn out. Because I think you're right, a lot of businesses fail early on, but that's just because people get so tired and exhausted, they can't keep it up. So how do you bring in contractors? And we've got 140 vetted contractors around the world. So you come to us and say, look, I want a LinkedIn specialist, a web developer, a graphic designer. We can say, look, here's 3 or 4 people that we've used and trusted in our community, and you can pick from those and they can support you. Because I think that's the key, because you can't do it all by yourself. But I know so many people get burnt by picking the wrong suppliers. So that's our 5 key steps in our rapid growth drivers.
That's amazing. I like how you put that down, and it helps concise and put it in an understandable sort of format. 5 rapid growth drivers, people. Number 1, personal productivity. Number 2, ideal client. Number 3, right business model. That's really important. Number 4, sales focus. And number 5, high performing team. There's a lot of bits and pieces of starting a business. It's very overwhelming. You're doing your own HR, you're doing your own sales and everything else. Sales is a very big part of it. You're selling to your employees on why your company is good in the future and why they should work for you. You're selling to your investors or your business partners, and you're selling to your vendors who will work with you to help you get you the best prices, help provide you with the best turn times on product and stuff that you need to get your business going. And then there's customers, of course, that you're selling on customers. Did I get everybody? Board of directors, investors, you're just constantly selling. I've had people ask me why I'm such a big mouth, and why I've done good in social spaces, because I talk a lot. I sell a lot. I'm constantly selling, and that's what you do as a CEO. And for some people that might be uncomfortable, but that's really the keys to success in these 5 rapid growth drivers you've outlined here.
Yeah, and look, as you said at the start, I spent 18 years at Coca-Cola, and I still think it's one of the best run companies in the world. It may not be the best product these days. It's it's great for a treat, but it's less of a staple than what it used to be. And but it's brilliant, and they really taught you the art of selling, and there was a science behind it. And you could walk into a sales territory and know a good rep from a bad rep just by talking to the customers. And 126 years they perfected how to sell, and I've taken a lot of those learnings and then applied it into business. And one simple thing is sales follow-up. I'm just amazed at how few times people actually follow up. So there's money sitting on the table and they just miss the sales follow-up. I went and bought a car recently, and only 1 out of the 5 dealers actually even phoned me back, which I found astounding. And it is sometimes mindset that people don't want to sell because they're worried whether they deserve the investment, the money, whether they deserve to to be there. But I think it's critical. But making sure you got the right tools and techniques, which is what we help a lot of our members with, certainly help reduce that anxiety and stress around selling.
Yeah, and I imagine it's tough to come out of corporate environments. I mean, Coca-Cola has really expanded its line. I mean, now they're into water and health drinks, and they're into a whole lot of more healthier stuff. They have like a ad that runs here in America that tells people, how they diversify their portfolio, and probably helps them with an image thing, since a lot more people nowadays are health conscious. And I gave up pop, I think 2 years ago or something like that, where I don't drink pop. I stay away from as much carbonation as I can, although I think there's still carbonation in beer. You can't give up everything, but I try and stay away from those sugar bomb drinks as much as I can. Although I'm not sure I can say that about my coffee, but we try not to go overboard there as well. But yeah, certainly it's got to be a lot of culture shock coming from a corporate cushy environment where you've got tremendous benefits and everything else, and that's really the other thing you have when you work for yourself. Yeah, there's not a lot of benefits, a lot of health benefits, depend upon your budgets and what you're doing. You may be flying without health insurance for a while, and yeah, you have to really take a look at the long game and build for the future. And that makes all the difference in building a business. And it's hard. It's challenging. But I got to tell you, I'm probably a much better, well, I don't know. There's probably some people that disagree, but but I would say I'm a much better person and much more self-actualized. And I'm not sure that mature falls in that wording, but I think I'm a better person put together because of what I went through of being an entrepreneur at 18.
Yeah. Look, and certainly for me, some of the members that I work with now, when you can see someone that you transform their life, you give them freedom, you give them the opportunities to travel around the world, spend more time with their family, do the things that they always love versus being stuck in the cubicle. It's brilliant. And yes, I loved working with small businesses and Coca-Cola. Like, that was one of the things I did love, is that we were like consultants for small businesses, so many of them. But, ultimately you're just selling, products, whether it was sugar or water or whatever it was. It didn't really make a big difference on people's lives. But now in a small business, you actually can make a big difference in people's lives, but you can also live the life that you really wanted. So it is brilliant. And for anyone that's sort of watching this is in corporate and, the boss has just chewed them out and they're sort of having a bad day and, they're not getting home to see their kids or whatever, there is an alternative. And it is hard, to Chris's point, it is hard, but if you get the right support and help, once you get to the right position, it is brilliant. And, I work from home. My biggest decision in a given day is, should I shave? Should I take off my tracksuit pants and put a pair of jeans on or whatever, or what time should I walk the dog? But they're all brilliant choices because I'm not worried about which board meeting I've got to go and present to, which back-to-back meeting I'm going to go to, which one of the 300 emails sitting in my inbox I've got to get to, or which family event I've got to say, sorry, I can't attend to anymore. So there is brilliant freedom once you get it right.
Yeah, there's wonderful freedom to being an entrepreneur when you can be successful. I like the fact that I can pay myself any time as long as there's money in the bank, and I don't have to wait for Friday for a check. Yeah, like you say, you have a whole lot more freedom with your schedule and your life. Nowadays with my life, I can spend time with my dogs. I can putter around, do whatever I want. Sometimes I can talk to clients over Skype and they have no idea that I'm sitting in my underwear. And I just woke up, I've got the hat on, so they can't tell that I haven't showered yet. And it works awesome. You just have that wonderful freedom. You can vacation usually most times when you want. Or at least take breaks when you want. If you want to call in for a sick day, you can usually get away with that sometimes. So there's an incredible amount of freedom that comes with it. But and I think that makes up for all the blood, sweat, and tears that people go through. Sometimes as an entrepreneur, you're going to go through multiple failures. There's a lot of people that fail several times before they finally get it right, because it does take a while to master being an entrepreneur. And sometimes you try a business you start it up and either the market hates it or you can't just get the combination dialed into it right to make it successful, or maybe there's just not enough money in to make you happy.
Yeah, and look, I think you touched on a really good point, like rejection. Certainly at Coca-Cola, yes, you lost a couple of clients, but especially in Australia, here we had, about 85% share of the market. So like most clients, would use you and say yes, and, it was always positive, etc. Whereas in your own business, you take it very personal. When someone says, look, I don't want to use your service, or sorry, I don't want to continue to use your service, that rejection really hurts. And that's where I think having a supportive network where you can talk to other people that are going through a similar thing and realize that it's not about you, it's about them and what they want to achieve. And I think that's a transition that a lot of corporate escapees find hard to do, and it's certainly something we help people with.
Yeah, definitely. So what pitfalls or what challenges do you see a lot of people that they have when they come out of corporate? I mean, what are some of the biggest, maybe top 3 challenges that you see people have?
Yeah, I think the first one is overestimating how quick they will be successful. So saying, I certainly said to my wife, look, I'll earn the same amount of money that I did at Coke in 12 months. And so therefore we can continue to live our lifestyle. Nothing needs to change here. Everything's going to be rosy. And, that wasn't the case. It took me about 5 years to earn the same amount of money. So therefore every month, I would look at my bank account and, I was cutting into my savings, and that wasn't great. I was fortunate that I've got a great nest egg, but, you want to keep that for future generations. So I think that's certainly the first one. The second one is doing it all yourself. So, you get really excited, when you first get out there and you think, I can do all the admin, I can do the bookkeeping, I can do everything. I used to have all this support in corporate, but I can do everything. And then that starts to get really tiring, and you start to work massive hours. And, at 11 o'clock at night, you're sending out another invoice, and, you think, God, this is just crazy. So I think that's sort of number 2. And number 3 is just trying to think that everyone's a client. As I said before, identifying who your ideal client is and making it very clear is important, because otherwise you just end up chasing so many loose ends and having lots of coffee meetings and lots of Skype meetings that lead to nowhere. And all of a sudden you look back at how your bank account and unfortunately you've got nothing coming in, but you're having lots of lovely conversations. So I think they're probably the 3 key things, Chris, that I see a lot of corporate escapees getting wrong.
Yeah, it definitely, a lot of people, they really think it's easy, and it's the hardest thing you'll ever do probably in your life, next to probably giving birth and carrying a baby to 9 months, or I don't know, being a parent for the first 2 years. That might be the hardest thing in life ever. That are doing hard time, I don't know which, but I've never done either yet. So I guess there's still time on me giving birth.
Yeah, that's that one.
So the Build Live Give community that you've taken and built, I guess, is basically a mastermind group, or is it a community, like a website, or how does that work?
Yeah. So Build Live Give has really got 2 key components. So one is a membership. So that is a community of like-minded people, and you get direct access to myself and my coaching. So ask me a question, I give you an answer. It's that simple. On a little, there's an app, and it's very simple. And also you get access to those wonderful suppliers, because you will need trusted suppliers, whether I said it's your website, your graphic design, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the first thing. And what we want to do is get people to 20,000 in monthly revenue. So we use those 5 rapid growth drivers, direct coaching by me, and also suppliers. And then the second is a mastermind. So what we want to do there is get people to 20,000 in profit a month. And the mastermind is a weekly call. There's strong accountability, great peers, and it's group coaching is the simplest way I describe that. So they're the 2 key ways that we support our members. But we've also got a podcast. I know you've got a brilliant podcast here, Chris. We've got our own as well, which is the Corporate Escapee Stories, brought to you by Build Live Give. And that's where we just interview fantastic people talking about their story, so that you can learn from them and avoid some of the pitfalls that are out there.
Avoiding pitfalls are awesome, and it sounds good. So give us the website people can go to look that up again.
Yeah, so it's buildlivegive.com. So build as in build a house, live as in live a great life, and give as in give back.
Sounds awesome. So everyone go check out his website, Paul Higgins. We certainly appreciate you being here today. Be sure to give us a like, subscribe to us on YouTube, hit that bell notification button. Also, go to iTunes and Google Play. Tell your friends, neighbors, relatives, refer the show to your friends. We certainly appreciate it. And we certainly appreciate you guys tuning in today as well. Thanks for coming by, and we'll see you next time.